is Cameron Hall. I'm also a member of board member of the Portland Downtown Neighborhood Association. The comments I'm going to make today, I made in an op-ed piece to the Oregonian that was published on July 11th. I'd just like to expand on some of those issues. According to TriMet, there are 3 reasons to change Fareless Square from its current format. Those 3 reasons are security, revenue loss, and fare evasion. However, I'm uncertain on how changing Fareless Square from its current format addresses adequately any of these 3 issues. First of all, is the issue of security, which revolves around violent crime and drug-related offenses. Statistics show that violent crime on TriMet happens primarily outside of the Fareless Square, which means that drug-related offenses are at the core of security issues for the Fareless Square. However, these are issues of law enforcement and not fare enforcement. Currently, drug traffickers can get on a Fareless Square bus and run virtually laps around downtown, engaging in their activities. However, charging the same people for a $2 ticket that's transferable to other buses doesn't solve this problem. So like I said before, you have an issue of law enforcement, not necessarily fare enforcement. The second and third issues go together, revenue loss and fare evasion. They go together because we're not talking about eliminating Fareless Square, which means we're not, if people have the same access to transportation, we're not talking about increasing revenue for people who are already using Fareless Square. So therefore, how does Fareless Square really address revenue loss? So the question is fare evasion within Fareless Square. How big of a problem is fare evasion in the Fareless Square? Are there statistics saying how much revenue is being lost by people who get on buses in the Fareless Square and leave downtown without paying? And how does this compare to fare evasion on other TriMet platforms, especially Max? Why is it such a large problem for the Fareless Square, and yet it's a problem that's not being adequately addressed on other TriMet platforms? The next question I have is why are we limiting services when we can increase revenue by enforcing fares on other platforms such as Max? TriMet currently has very low fare enforcement rates. As a daily passenger of TriMet, I've never been asked for proof of payment on a Max platform, and I hear constant comments from people visiting who take the Max from the airport into downtown that they've never been asked for fare. So why are we not charging fares on Max instead of cutting services in other areas? And finally, how is enforcing Fareless Square, how is addressing Fareless Square fare evasion qualitatively different than, say, those who purchase 2-zone tickets but travel 3 zones? I understand that there's a quantitative difference. Many more people may do it leaving Fareless Square rather than across the whole spectrum, but why don't the same issues of fare enforcement apply to both circumstances, and why aren't they applicable to bus drivers as they leave downtown? In closing, I'd like to say that I understand that policies have shelf lives, and the day may come eventually when Fareless Square needs to be reevaluated. But if we're going to change Fareless Square, it should be for issues that address the core problems rather than what's been proposed by TriMet. Thank you.